Welcome to Breaking Barriers. You know your path. We know the obstacles, and we can teach you how to tear them down. And now your host, CEO and founder of Adapting Social, John Vigero.
Guys, welcome back to Breaking Barriers. I am super excited. With me today, we have my man Eric here from RGS, aka Radiator Grill Store. You began your journey in 2010. And, for the people out there that are like, what the heck is RGS? Can you tell us a little bit about RGS and also how you even started this?
Yeah, great questions. So I started this for my own vehicles. We had a Porsche, and I had this, these front radiators are really exposed. A lot of these sports cars, anything from Corvette to Acuras to Mercedes, BMW, Porsche, Ferrari, anybody, all these sports cars have a lot of these upfront radiators that are really exposed. They're super expensive to replace. So I wanted to protect my own car. And so I started creating these radiator grill screens to protect the front condensers that are incredibly expensive to replace. And I started posting it on Porsche forums, and I would get, hey, can I get one? Hey, can I get one? And we got serious about it. And just the end of 2018, created a website, got serious with that. So yeah, basically we branched out from doing radiator grills for all these sports cars, and we're also doing custom painted products for the C8 Corvette. We're going to be getting into more products for the Porsche, new Porsches and stuff like that. So yeah, very exciting.
Man, it's really, and so just so everybody knows too, what were you doing before this?
What I was doing before this, and I was a safety manager at a government lab.
Really cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's so interesting. What a good shift from that to, and for people who don't know, if you go to RGS, their website, radiatorgrillstore.com, just some of the products and the grills themselves are so damn sexy. It adds such a nice touch to the car. Everything, again, right now, like I'm looking at as an example, if you go through anything C8, it's just like crazy. But how cool is that? So obviously you built this out of your own need, essentially. Like you wanted it for your Porsche, and then boom, next thing you know, you're on these forums and people are looking for that. And so, because there's so many times where people will, comment in or question in and be like, I'm looking to start this business and I have this idea and it's from an actual need that they have, but they just don't know where to start because they feel like it's a passion versus, an actual business. What made you say, like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to leave that job and I'm going to be solely focused on this and dive 100% in on this? And what advice would you give to people who are maybe in that phase?
So a perfect question. I think that's something that ran through my head, certainly runs through everybody else's heads who's on an entrepreneurial track, right? Is that it doesn't have to be either or. So through this, when I was building this business, I was still working at the government lab, and I do it on the nights and weekends.
Right.
So I didn't have to give up that paycheck to pursue my passion. I was able to build my passion and also build it to a point where I was able to leave that job. So it's not an or, it's an and.
I love that.
Yeah. So, pursue the passion and start building it. And see if it takes off.
So what a lot of people always ask, especially in the e-commerce space, like, if you could go back to day one with what you know right now, what would you go back to day one and what would you do, like, potentially differently to obviously get to where you are today?
There's a couple things. I probably would have reached out to some other e-commerce, be it people who had experience in there, be it e-commerce giants or something, and tell them my vision. Because I think at that point in time, we created Radiator Grill Store. We created for a reason because that's what we were doing. Right. But at that time, I didn't have the vision that we were going to branch out in all these other products. But somebody probably could have easily said that to me. He said, well, geez, why pigeonhole yourself like that? Why don't you start with a more a broader brand? than
Right.
that. So I think that is something that, now that we're branching out, people know us, people recognize us, people recognize our customer service. It blows anybody out of the water. I think it's one thing that we can bring. And that's something that a lot of people, in the e-commerce space, a lot of people miss that part. It's that your brand is associated with your customer service and your products.
Totally.
It's that customer service part that is missing with a lot of these other e-commerce stores or China coming in. You can't talk to somebody. So, I think that is something that I knew right away. Yes, I should have had a little broader brand, but I knew that bringing customer service to the forefront is going to differentiate me, considering that I'm competing against China. It's really tough.
Totally, man. And what I love though is like on that fact, I think sometimes people get involved and it's like you are building this in the USA, which is so freaking awesome. I love that. That's one of my favorite things, obviously, about besides your story, is that like right now, especially with like what Trump's got going on with tariffs and they're putting tariffs on China, like I'm hoping with this just bums rush us, we get way more traffic from, because again, now these other companies are gonna have to start charging way more money. Because again, how can they sustain if they're not going to make money with all those extra tariffs? So you're already benefiting by making this in this country, providing jobs in this country. So you're the man. Thank you for doing that. And so, but like one of the things that's great, and I want people that are listening in to like really understand this, is what you said that's so important, man, is customer service. Like when you think, you ever hear of, Tony Hsieh, you ever see that book, Delivering Happiness?
I haven't.
So I'm gonna freaking send you a link to it. It's amazing. So essentially, this guy was the first person. He founded what the heck is the name of the shoe company that everyone used to wear? Oh my goodness, hold on. Let me look this up real quick. Here he is. What is this? Oh, Zappos. So he invented the shoe store Zappos. And they blew up before Amazon. I mean, Amazon wound up acquiring them. But the reason why they blew up was he built a company first and foremost around customer service. So he was like, again, this is when the internet was still in infancy stage, but people would call to order shoes, right, and go on the website. But he had his customer service team and the people who answered phones and the phone support people. He would literally have them call about anything. Like, so it got to the point where people, like, they would market and be like, if you need dinner reservations, call Zappos, like literally whatever. And they blew up because they were just so amazing with their clients and customers and potential customers, even if you didn't buy anything from them. And I love that you already embody that, because at the end of the day, like, that's what makes RGS such a like leader in this space. You have a superior product, but you also have superior customer service, and most people don't, right? And the thing is like, we live in a world too, Eric, which now, like if you go to a restaurant, right, like versus going to a restaurant 20 years ago, I mean, you get some still today, but like it's not as often. If you go to a restaurant, especially if you're going to a corporate franchise, you have these young kids at the front desk and it feels like you're bothering them, right? It's like customer service is a dying thing in this country right now, probably everywhere, but especially in our country where people don't want to be bothered. And so like, they don't care about customer service. Truthfully, a lot of these Gen Zers and millennials, like, I'm a millennial, but like most of these people, like they like they're introverted. Let's just call it what it is. Right. So like, they don't want to have these elaborate conversations. How are you? How are you doing? How's your family? They're like, how many people do we want at the table? And they're just bringing you there and that's it. Just cut and dry, So the fact that you guys had that unparalleled customer service, that world-class customer service, it's a huge, huge separator for you guys. And how did you build that though?
So I had a couple businesses before that didn't take off. But I had learned that it's customer first. And I think I learned it through a couple different maybe hiccups of where I thought the sale of the product was more important than taking care of that customer. And I learned really quickly that is not the case. You take care of that customer and that customer will take care of you and their friends will take care of you. And that is exactly, why we're customer focused no matter what, and we like talking on the phone. We're car guys. We just talk on the phone with you, talk about cars. I'll talk 15 minutes. It's just talking about your car. Another thing, going back to that question of like, what would I do different? And, this is not just because we're on this podcast here,
right.
but it's getting Adapting Social involved earlier. I think this might speak to some of the smaller e-commerce or smaller customers of yours, where it's like, man, when I was looking at that first, the first quote of what it was going to take to come on board with Adapting Social, I was like, wow, that's a leap for me. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I can make that. I don't know, do I need it? Do I not need it? Man, that's a lot of money out of my pocket to get it going. But I would say I would have done it earlier. I would have done it earlier if I knew what I was going to do and what it was going to take off of my plate and what the expertise that was going to come into my now team, my expanded team of Adapting Social professionals that are able to really take all my Google ads and my print ads and blogs and all that stuff, where, for me to touch all that stuff as a small e-commerce store, one, I didn't have the expertise.
Right.
Two, I didn't have the time.
Right.
And being able to get a team on board that you trust, that has awesome communication, that you're able to just contact at any time. That it's huge. And it was that leap that I just didn't even appreciate that in that moment. I was like, that value that Adapting Social brought to the company, I would have done it sooner.
Well, first off, thank you for that, man. I really appreciate that. And it's funny, speaking of cars, one of the things early on that like I learned, when you're starting a business, right? You have the artist, you have the entrepreneur, in a crazy unicorn sense. Sometimes you have both. But a lot of times if you're the artist, you're not a great entrepreneur, right? And if you're the entrepreneur, you're not a great artist. And so the thing is like, when you have the right team of expertise around you, like this is the thing, like, do you know Grant Cardone? You ever hear of Grant Cardone?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I've had Grant on the podcast, and when I had him on, I realized really quickly that what he's really good at is not being this like genius, right? He's good at surrounding himself with the right people and having the right people in the right seats in his company so that the company moves forward, right? Because if it's just relying upon Eric or John to do everything, we're not going to go far. And so that's the one thing that I think is really insightful. And I appreciate obviously you shouting us out, but I think everybody listening in, that's really important. Like when you look at certain areas of your business, like me particularly, I remember when I started to get to a point of scale where, we had clients in multiple countries and I had to worry about, currency exchange and all this stuff that like way over my head. I tried to do it myself. I had to like bring in like a financial expert that was like, hey, you're losing money because it's one currency. You're not charging enough, or you're not doing this. And I didn't know any of that stuff. But every business has different areas of what they need. And I think one thing, like, let's call it what it is. There's only one thing that drives and keeps a business alive, right? And that's the lifeblood of a business, and that's driving sales. And so whatever industry you're in, find that expert. Like you said, you would have talked to some other e-commerce people who were already in the game at that point, get some feedback, get some whatever. Like that's the important things is like whatever industry you're in, you got to go talk to people who have done it already. Like Ray Dalio wrote this book called Principles, and he talks about it, about how, there are people who have life's like the jungle, and there are people who have already been through the jungle, right? So you don't have to get eaten by a lion or all the, these things on you because, you went through all these bugs and ticks and whatever. And it's like, there are people who have been through the jungle. You can either go yourself and figure it out and, and get that experience, which in some cases is good, obviously. But then there's the other route where, you could die going through the jungle. Your business could fail quintessentially, right? So, always find the people who have been where you want to go, because success leaves clues. And if you find the right person, typically they'll want to help, right? They'll typically want to be like, hey, yeah, I'm not in your competing space. I have this, e-commerce site. I could talk to you about what worked for me, what didn't work for me, what softwares I use, what companies I used. And then you're saving a lot of headaches, because a lot of people, and to your point, Eric, you wish you would have found us earlier. A lot of the clients that we work with in the e-com space, they're like, damn, like I had 4 other agencies I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on, and it was a waste. And, and so it's about finding the right strategic partners too, right? That are reliable, that are trustworthy. So that's a key thing too, because a lot of people can waste a lot of money that way. Where do you see RGS going, man? Like what's like the overall plan? Like, where do you see this going? Like what's like next?
Pretty much world domination.
Love it.
That's it. Yeah. I want to be the best in my business, and I want to start creating more of our own just bespoke products. So just going to that clientele that really appreciates the engineering, that really appreciates the finish, really appreciates the customer service, and just be the best in the business. That's all it is. And if I'm the best in the business, the business will come.
Absolutely. Amen to that, man. And so as we get close to the end here, when you think about now, do you have children?
Yes. Yep. 3
kids. Nice, man. What's the ages between them?
We got 22, 21, and 18.
Wow. So we're in such different worlds. I'm 302 years old and you're like on the other side of it. It's crazy. But I want to just like kind of understand something. So a lot of times as business owners and entrepreneurs, like, we think about like legacy, right? Like I'm building this business, you're doing it for you, your dream, obviously support your family and everything else too in the process. But legacy is typically a big thing. And, if you were not in the room, and your kids were having a conversation with somebody who never met you, doesn't know who you are, right? What do you think that they would say about their father?
Oh man, I think they go to fix everything and anything. So they love to call me for anything and everything to fix. I'm the Mr. Fix It for sure. Play with them all the time, tickle them too much.
No such thing as that.
Yeah.
Well, now,
they don't get that yet. They don't get that. That's what we get to do as fathers. We get to tickle. We get to mess with you.
Right.
Certainly as they get older.
I love that, man. That's how I am too. And so over the past couple years you've been in business, has there been any like quotes or adages that you think about when it comes to resilience, like kind of like going through a tough time and like getting through it? It could be an original, Eric original, or somebody you picked it up from. Like anything you think about when it comes to, rising above tough times. And maybe it's not even it could be something maybe outside.
There's a couple, and the one, and I'll probably butcher it, so apologize, but it's something along the lines of, it's not the size of the mountain that's stopping you from your goal. It's the grain of sand in your sandal. And what that means to me is that it's you're paying attention to that small thing instead of taking that leap to climb that mountain and just get going. Take that next step. Who cares about that little piece of sand in your sandal that you're trying to get out? Take a step, go through it, punch through that, and get that goal. And the next one is a Zig Ziglar. If you help enough other people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And I think
those are both freaking fire. Wow. I want to write that one down. That's really fire.
Yeah. So, and then that's where that customer service comes in, and people want a great product. Yes. Okay. You help them get that, but they also want great service, and they also want somebody on the other end of that line that's going to help them after the sale, right? It's not just selling and making money. That's not what this is about. This is about helping people.
I love it. So fire, Eric. That's, if more people in the car enthusiast space that have these vehicles that you have the products for knew just who you are, like, I think, they would go wild. Right. And I think that's why I'm excited about our journey together and building that, continue to build that, because you're just such a great guy. You have high integrity. You care about your family. You care about the business. You want to do right by your customers. I mean, it's the best of all the worlds of buying from RGS, because again, everything about your mission and your purpose, stands for the American dream in a way, right? So cool. For people listening in, Eric, where can they find you? Websites, socials, everything like that.
Yep, we're website, www.radiatorgrillstore.com. You can find us on Instagram at Radiator Grill Store, Facebook page as well, Radiator Grill Store. Reach out. You can give us a call. You can text us, email us, chat on our website, whatever. We're going to get back to you.
I love it. And he's not playing games with that. He absolutely will. And that's the good part about that. And Eric, thank you so much, first and foremost, for being here. Time is the one asset we don't get back. So you spending it here with me today and our listeners today means the world to me. So thank you so much.